ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow!
Monkey cat. Woo! Monkey cat. Catfish aren't really biting, are they? Nibbling a little bit. Oh my God! Whoa! Hooked one! Oh! Whoop! Monkey cat. Basil, you gonna want to you said you wanted to interview two of our crew members. Huh. Go lamp fishing. Said you wanted to interview two of our crew members. Okay, well. Are you insisted on doing these commercials continuously now? Okay. You know what? Only one of our sponsors is represented here this afternoon, unless we're doing a sponsorship for where the wow things are, because we got the feet for that. I know those are your big comfy slippers, but aren't they a bit large for your paws? All right, well, we're minus the can. We don't have any visual. But we do have a bit of Schweppervescence in the house. So, to you, Schweppes. Okay. So you said you wanted to interview. Well, we could maybe get Monkey Cat up here to interview. But said you wanted to interview the couple of members of our crew. And you guys know who you are up there. Tweety. And Tweety and Snarky. Now, Bonesy is down on the job. Okay. So, here's the thing, Basil. And we can ask Snarky. I guess we need to have some sort of overworked dietary supplement for our next sponsor. But we can ask Snarky any of a number of questions. We can ask Snarky question on question on question on question. But, you know what, Basil? Let's face it. We know that dogs only have two sounds that they make. I know cats only have two sounds that they make, which is, but the two sounds that cats make can, what number are we up to now? Basil adroitly adds to the conversation. Meow. 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 Says, by the end of this year, if he's figuring correctly, and he usually does, because statistically he's got some skills. I mean, he's of course with the help of the Pope's cat Basil. But anyway, he got 64 out of 64 right in the NCAA tournament, and then of course the alla. Even though they're not even, why are they so called the alligators? Because they were that way. They were named that instead of gators when a fellow by the name of Al Horford became a walk-on phenom. Now, of course, in basketball, height does matter. That is to say, vertical length and size do matter. And he walks on, and he's got some abilities. He's got some abilities. That's to say, he's 9'8". And they had to have some specially adapted sneakers for Al Horford. They had to have sneakers that they could use while bending over his knees, his legs at the knees, and put his sneakers on his knees. So that got him back down to something approaching normal height. And amazingly at that, he could still jump using his special sneakers, whom we will not recommend because we do not have a free pair, nor do we have a corporate sponsor. But anyway, those sneakers that we're talking about are made in the country where they pay their employees about $2 an hour. And they live in abject poverty and work in dangerous conditions. Anyway, so back to the language. Back to the language. So Basil says by the end of this year, he's anticipating. Oh, Walter, you got some blue on you. Got some blue coloring on your fur. I think it looks like somebody died. Somebody gave you some blue highlights. You can call you grandma. You're too young to be a grandma. So at any rate, says by the end of the year, he's anticipating that the cat language will have a total of nearly 1 million. We're closing in on the million mark. Closing in on the million mark for thoughts, concepts, words, ideas, any combination thereof. And that's out of 2 sounds. But, as Basil so aptly points out, the dog language, which also has 2 sounds, and arf, or something like that. Those 2 sounds can only combine to make up 4 responses, 4 statements, 4 ideas. And what if we ask Snarky a question in this interview that you propose we have, and in this interview we ask him a question about something other than what one of those 4 responses will cover. What do we do then? What do you expect? Are we gonna, the best we can figure that is that Snark is gonna tell us that he's hungry, and that'll only work for a certain number of potential questions we could ask him. Scratch my belly. That's one of the other 4. And that's only going to be a reasonable answer or a relevant answer to one question. What do you want us to do right now? Matter of fact, feed me. Same question. What do you want? What do you want us to do? Feed me. What do you want us to do? Scratch my belly. Third one, what do you want me to do? Take me for a walk. And that leaves one statement. And I guess, seeing as he's inside, it's relevant, because that fourth response that we could anticipate from Snarky would be, is that a drip coming down the camera lens? Oh my God! Well, we got a new variation on theme. Sparky says, oops. Well, normally you would say, oops, I piddled on your carpet. But I guess it makes, it's a little bit of a variation when he says, oops, I piddled on your camera lens. Thank you, Snarky. Now, Tweety, on the other hand, I'm not proficient at all in the language of Tweety, the language of any of the bird species, subspecies, groups, subgroups. I don't know anything about their language. I don't know how to interpret it. Do you? Do you, Basil? Do you speak Tweety's language? Basil says, well, Tweety's language has only one sound, but in some cases, birds like Tweety Maybe not Tweety specifically, because I don't hear him giving us balls about things or mimicking us. Tweety could, or other birds that are similar, could be copying our sounds. Now, we know that Joe, who was one of the birds of Kristen and my friends Jeff and Lauren, they've got Joe in the house, and Joe's an interesting bird. He's one of those big, I don't know, what do you call it, 2 can, 3 can, 4 can and a half. I can, you can, no can do. I don't know. There it is. So this bird imitates people. You say something around him enough times and he'll learn to say it back. And it's intelligible. You can figure out what he's saying. You can understand what he's saying. It's not no big secret what he's saying. He's copying whatever he's had taught to him. More than likely he doesn't know too much about what he's saying. Or maybe he does. Maybe he can, maybe he's saying something other than what we think he's saying. You know? You know? The kid is distracting me, what can I tell you? So at any rate, so Joe is the bird that's owned by Kristen and my friend Jeff and Lauren, and he's the one. You've met him. You met him up in Kristen's apartment when she was living there on the farm. Now, there was a time when Joe, who was being tended to by Kristen, I don't know whether she was feeding him or whether he was, perched on her shoulder. She was playing pirate. But Joe bit her. Did he? I think he bit her finger. Whatever it was, he left quite a mark. Because, those things have beaks that are, they're pretty serious beaks. Walter Basil, is Walter left paw or right paw? I don't know. I'm not sure. All I know is that she's mighty cute and mighty fluffy. Oh my God! Oh yes. She's mighty cute and mighty fluffy. Yeah. So you wanted to have an interview with Tweety and or Snarky. So, well, let's just think of some hypothetical questions that we could ask Tweety or Snarky, and if we can figure out one way or the other how to get an answer out of them that we can understand and pass along to the audience, then that's what we'll do. But oh my God. Looks like something was left behind. Oh, that's right, Basil. This is, remember, this was the, what was referred to as, a robot nipple. Although I still think it probably isn't a robot nipple, quite frankly. It's, looks more like something you would have in a medical setting where they stick these on a person's skin and attach the
wire to it and measure vital functions. So you're really sure that Jeffrey Peterson sent this in to us. Now, advisory to the audience: this is not Jeffrey Peterson, because Jeffrey Peterson is more mechanical. Now, should we try to get Jeffrey Peterson to come visit the show and talk more about this? See if he's missing a nipple, first of all. And secondly, come on the show and talk to us about his friend Craig Kilborn, whose show he's on. He's Craig's co-host, and certainly people. No, wait, Basil. See, Basil says. He says he knows I was going to say to him something about him being two-dimensional, when in fact he says I'm the one who's two-dimensional. Now look at that, I'm flesh and blood, Basil. I got all kinds of different colorings on me. You, on the other hand, apparently looks like you've got black, white, and a little bit of gray, which I have also, but you've got a little bit of gray, some black, and some white. Now, on the other hand, you'll notice Basil's tie. Basil's tie is in full blazing color, which means to say that black and white and gray and brown. So there you go. He's certainly more colorful in color than he is in black and white. So Basil, if we don't get any conversation started with Tweety and Snarky, I mean, we're going to have a two-dimensional show. So what do you think? It's almost like we planned it that way. Okay, medium-sized phone, Nickelodeon phone, the big important Cat in the Hat phone, the Eensy Weensy phone. Which one is it? Well, we're going to have to wait for it to ring again, because at this point we seem to have lost our caller-in's interest. And Basil says now, what you really need to do, first I'll quote him. Basil says, Okay, he says, what you really need to do is be more proactive at this thing. You know, you can't wait for the phone to ring. This is like business, he says. You got to do some calling out to prospective guests. You can't wait for guests to just miraculously call in. You got to, well, if I'm going to do that, Basil, how about I reach out to the hereafter? Because we had this show the other day, a while back actually, where we had Watson, and Watson. We had the 4 Watsons that were supposed to show up and be on the show from the hereafter. Now, we got the 1 Watson and Crick, the famous double helix, the DNA sequencing that we hear so much about in modern day science and identity, identifying of people that are related, or close relation, distant relation, in criminology. You match up the DNA with record with a person who's deceased to clarify that that's who that person is, that's died, sometimes under nefarious circumstances. So he wanted me to reach out. Okay, so let's do this. Let's and with a tip of the hat to the old friend Bill Murray, who in Ghostbusters gave us this great idea on how to reach out. Of course, Bill, being the tweakish kind of character that he is in most of his shows, most of his movies. No disrespect intended, Bill. Bill's off in the corner there, and he thinks he's blending into the wallpaper like Sherlock Holmes did in one of those Sherlock Holmes movies. But so Bill gave us this idea about reaching out to the spiritual world via the piano. And see if that does it. Basil says, says, don't overdo it. Okay. One little quick. Okay, let's see if that gets, hey! Again. You're right, being proactive is a good idea. Let's try these phones one at a time, so we can determine how important our caller in is. Basil BuddhaCat presents. Well, look at that. Just like the old shell game, we went to one shell, and sure enough, that's the one that. Yes, hi. This is Basil BuddhaCat presents, and is it possible we have one of our alternate Watsons on the phone? Is it because we've got we know we've got Watson of the famed Watson and Crick DNA discoveries. We've had that conversation, a little bit of one. But there are some other Watsons out there. Okay, Basil, it's Watson. It's Watson who was one of the founders. What? It says, screw the other guys. He's the founder of IBM. It says, okay, so it's Watson who says he's the founder of what began as International Business Machines. And, of course, IBM has come to be tossed about, bandied about in some tweaking of that acronym. I know a lot of people that work for IBM, and I think there's a lot of creativity there. Our good friend Beth.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow. Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Meow.
Monkey cat. Woo! Monkey cat.